tuning in here to the second edition of Hicksy and Chris on Sports, the YouTube show. I'm your host, Chris Asbrock, and joining me, as you can probably see on the big screen there, Scott Hicks, live in Detroit. Scott, how you doing, buddy?
Good, bud. How are you?
Hey, you know what? I'm not too bad. Not too bad.
Are we live?
Dude, we're live, man. We are live. We're streaming live on YouTube. So
is the FCC going to come at us if we have a Freudian slip here? Because it's bound to happen eventually. And I don't have that kind of bank to start paying fines, Christopher.
Well, we're not on like network television or anything like that, so we're good.
All right.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's the good part about it. I mean, it's, you can kind of do what you want as long as we're not like, offending all kinds of people. I mean, I guess we're good.
Well, that's bound to happen too eventually. I mean,
well, it's just a matter of time. But before we get to it, I want to say that we're brought to you by Dickey's Barbecue. Dickey's Barbecue, two brand new locations in Mason and in South Lebanon. So make sure you check out Dickeys.com for more information. Dude, Dickey's is legit, man. Have you ever had it?
No, but
it's good.
Do they bring us free food?
Well, we've got a hookup.
Okay.
That's the beauty of the sponsorship, man. We're partnered up with Dickey's Barbecue. Dude, it's legit. It's good stuff.
Well, I need a sample. So get in touch with Dickey and let him know that Hicksy wants some barbecue.
Well, you know what? I work with the man. I coach with him, and it's good stuff. It's good stuff. So when you're in town, we'll have to check it out.
I'm game.
Perfect. Well, my friend, since we decided to come back for another show, I mean, I think we should probably talk about the Bengals' 31-10 victory over the Browns in primetime. What do you think? You think that's a good idea? Good idea. A good place to start?
Well, I'd be happy if we started there because I tell you, each week Andy Dalton impresses me more and more. And as you know, I have not been the Red Rockets' biggest fan the last few years. And I was even on record at one point last year saying trading with Chicago for Jay Cutler, and watching Jay Cutler now, I'm extremely excited that Marvin Lewis didn't listen to my ignorant ass and make that trade. But I think the positive thing that I keep pointing to is in years past, the Bengals have had hot starts. And it's always been the halftime adjustments that have bit him in the butt. And it was this week when Johnny Manziel had some minimal success. He had some success in the first half. It was a halftime adjustment that the Bengals made and shut them down for the whole third quarter. I mean, pretty much put that game away. I think they had minus 8 yards in the third quarter. And Johnny Manziel couldn't get anything going. The defense was stifling and really kind of set the tone for the rest of that game and just buried him in the third quarter. And that's something that we're not used to. And that's another thing that's different with this team that hasn't been the same in the past, Well,
what's amazing about this team is, obviously they're 8-0. They're now one of only 3 unbeaten teams in the NFL, and with New England. It's the 33rd team in NFL history to start 8-0, the first ever AFC North team. So if you look back at that, that's an impressive stat right there. Because if you look at some of the Steelers teams in the past and some of the
kind of go that 3 teams are 8-0. That's never happened in NFL history.
It would have been 4 had the Broncos decided not to crap down their leg yesterday. It should have been 4, but 3 teams at 8-0. That's amazing. And what's incredible is if you look at the game, I was lucky enough to be down at the stadium on Thursday night, and it was awesome. It was it was electric. It felt great. The place was just going nuts. It's just a different feeling down there. Everything feels different. And we talked to my parents. As they have season tickets, and our group around us. We talk about it. We're like, it feels different this year. It's just the vibe in the stadium's different. Everything. And in their last 20 regular season games at Paul Brown Stadium. So that right there, Paul Brown Stadium has become a fortress, it seems like, you know.
Well, even the pregame still was electric. Did you see Icky Shuffle was going on down? Icky Woods was down there with Anthony Munoz for the pregame show. And, I mean, he can't move quite as well, but packed on a few pounds since his playing days. But it looked electric. And you know, it's nice to see finally. I mean, you've had it with the Reds a couple of years ago, but you know, there's been a lot of hype around the Bengals team, but I think it is different. People are understanding and recognizing it's different, and it's really kind of fun to see.
Dude, it is. It's a lot of. I mean, it's a ton of fun, and you know, if you look back, I mean, a lot of factors, you know, were going into this game that weren't on the side of the Bengals. I mean, if you look at it, no Ray Maluga, he was hurt with the calf strain. Andre Smith was out. A quick turnaround from a game against the Pittsburgh Steelers where it was a very emotional, you know, you're playing the Steelers, so it's always going to be an emotional game. You only had 4 days to prepare, or actually less than 4 days to prepare for the game, but then 4 days, you know, after that to actually play. And they came out there and dominated the Browns. I mean, you know, I got to give it to Johnny Manziel. I honestly, you know, who's taking it to the house?
Yeah, there's another classic Cutler, and it's another reason why I'm really glad they didn't make that trade. You know, there's a turnover on a Stevie Johnson fumble. 2 plays later, it's a pick six. I mean, you can't do that.
I saw you looking. The funny thing is, I saw you looking. I was like, well, I got to check it out. Oh man, that was bad.
Throw.
Wow, that was bad. But yeah, I mean, going back to my point though, that you know, everything was going, like I said, there was a lot of things stacked up against the Bengals in this game. Plus, you had that mental hurdle of last year when you got destroyed by the Browns at home a year ago to the day, basically. Andy Dalton had a two passer rating, or you know, or not a passer rating, but the
QBR.
Yeah, QBR.
And that was being kind. Let's be honest. That was generous.
Yeah. And then, you know, he goes out there. He's got a passer rating of 139.8. He was 21 of 27 for 234 yards, 3 touchdowns, all to Tyler Eifert, who I'm telling you what, I mean, I'm going to go out there and say he's the best tight end weapon in the league overall for his team. I know Gronk. You know what Gronk is, but is there a player more valuable to his team right now than what Eifert has been to the Bengals? I don't think there has.
I mean, that's up for debate. I mean, there's a lot of players having a lot of great years, but I think what you see is he just brings a different dynamic to this team, and he helps Marvin Jones on the outside, and he helps AJ Green on the outside. You can no longer double AJ Green, or else you're going to get burned. And I think that's something that we never had with Jermaine Gresham. I think they wanted that with Jermaine Gresham, and he just couldn't produce. And Tyler Eifert can. And he's obviously one of Dalton's favorite targets. Whether the ball's intended for him or not, he's going to go up and get it.
Yeah.
Zeke Fisher had that touchdown. First ever career touchdown, and there's Tyler Eifert.
To take it away.
Pass. And, you know, he wants that bonus, bud. But I think there's a trust factor there that Dalton never had with Gresham, and when teams can pick up on that, and they know that, so you they didn't have to mark Gresham last year, and the Bengals were limited to who you can go to on the outside, and without a perennial slot guy, you're shit out of luck.
Yeah.
And, Eifert's added that, and he's been able to open up the field for other playmakers, and that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest difference I see with Dalton this year is he trusts other guys besides AJ. And teams can no longer mark one guy. And even with Gio, and you know, Jeremy's had his fumbling issues, but Gio's playing well, and Gio's actually running between the tackles well, which is not his game typically. But I think with the trust factor with the other receivers, that's where Dalton's getting his confidence from.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you look at, you know, look at the stats here, 8 different guys had a catch on Thursday night. Jones, Eifert, Green, Sanu, and then Gio, Burkhead, Tate, Hill. You know, those guys, it's just there's so many weapons that the Bengals have and Dalton has that it's honestly, and like I believe I touched on our last show, it's terrifying for defenses. Like, and what I like about it though is the Bengals, they're not afraid to go for it. They're not afraid to lay it out there. They go for it on fourth down. They just, like I said, they're not afraid. And if you look at Andy Dalton in the second half, he was 12 of 14 in the second half. Yeah. I mean, so like you said, that goes on the adjustment aspect of it. On the season right now, he's got 18 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. So that, I mean, it's.
Well, here I'll give you a stat. There's actually a stat here with Tyler Eifert in the lineup and without. With Tyler Eifert in the lineup, Andy Dalton since 2013, he's 19-5 with a 50 TD to 20 interception ratio for 273-yard average. And his QBR is averaged at 64. Without Eifert, the same time frame, he's 10-5-1, 20 TDs against 21 interceptions, 211 passing yard average, and a QBR of 55. So the kid's been in the league for 2 years, and he clearly has an impact. I mean, the numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
And Andy Dalton, he's comfortable with them, and he trusts them, and that's a big deal.
That is a big deal. It's amazing because, like I said, adding Tyler Eifert to the mix, he can do anything. He's such a weapon that you could throw. I mean, he can line up on the outside as a receiver. He can put him anywhere. He's uncoverable on a linebacker. Like a linebacker can't cover him. He's too big for a safety. I mean, like I said, look at what he did to Cam Chancellor, who is he's one of the biggest safeties in the league. He's probably the biggest safety, I believe, off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But he's uncoverable. Like he just adds so much, and taking that away from a quarterback like Andy Dalton, who he needs that kind of trust factor. He needs to know that he's got that support around him. That's just Andy Dalton. You're not going to go out there, and I saw on Monday Night Countdown today, they were talking about, I think it was Jay Cutler and Phillip Rivers. They were talking about, it was what Trent Dilfer was saying. You know what, with Jay Cutler, the fans, they're so angry about different things, and they see, and he brought up perfect. He said, what, the fans see, the Aaron Rodgers and the Tom Brady's, and he's like, those quarterbacks don't grow on trees. So you can't just go out there and get an elite quarterback like that. You have to have your trust in a solid quarterback. And to me, I've always thought Andy Dalton was a solid quarterback. You and I have debated on this numerous. Started to hit the fan for the team. But, you and I, like I said, you and I debated a lot last year. I'm a big Dalton supporter.
Well, no, we didn't debate. I yelled at you a lot.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, yeah, it wasn't really a debate. It was a little unruly. But
who was yelling? I yelled at you about how bad he sucked.
Well, I could defend him on some things, and there's times I couldn't defend him. I mean, I'm not going to argue, but
you the 2 QBRs, you're not really going to go on that train.
Yeah, I couldn't really. I couldn't defend that. That was pretty bad. I mean, no, but overall though, this is the kind of quarterback that I saw the Bengals, drafting. This is the Andy Dalton I was expecting. This is the Andy Dalton we signed to that contract. So, and now that he has all the weapons, you know what? I don't see why this can't continue. We go up against the Houston defense now, who.
Speaking of his contract, it's gonna have to be redone after this year. I mean, if they continue on this that contract was very organizational friendly, and if he continues to have this type of year, they're gonna have to pay him. They are. I mean, $14 million a year isn't gonna do it.
Well, I know. But see, what the thing is though, if he's able, okay, you know what? Say if the Bengals are lucky enough, hey, and we roll, they win the Super Bowl, then that man gets paid, and that's how the contract's set up, which is nice. But if you just look, and like I said, it feels so good because then you watch, just things seem so different now with Andy Dalton. Like if you look at what he did, for example, on the Sanu when he did the 25-yard reverse, like it was, I got a kick out of it because you could see on the big screen that as you know, as Gio flipped it to Sanu and he's coming around the end, Dalton looked and just was like, "Oh Jesus, here comes Mo right on my back," and he just started to chuck, and he was going. And it's just things like that. You see him out there, and Big Wit's out there leading the way, along with Dalton. Who was out there. He may have just run into a guy and knocked him off, but he wasn't going to go out and Pat McAfee someone if you want to go. If you want to go that route,
nor do we want him to.
Well, exactly. But what I'm saying is,
I'm sorry. AJ McCarron's a solid backup, but if he goes down, we're screwed.
Well, you know what? According to some people that sit around me at the Bengals games, I swear they want AJ. They think AJ McCarron's the next coming of Aaron frickin' Rodgers, and I'm sorry, I don't see it. But
I think the kid's good, but he's not going to win your Super Bowl.
Exactly. But like I said, it's just this year just feels so different, and it feels so good. Like going back and just looking at everything. I mean, if you look what they were managing to do against, the Browns defense, they're a lot better than what people think, what people see, just because they are the Browns. But they're quick. I mean, if you look at they caused a lot of problems for the offensive line again. I shouldn't say a lot of problems, but they had Dalton. They had him moving around a little bit. They had him, he got sacked a couple times, but that's obviously going to happen because the offensive line isn't playing as well as it was at the beginning of the year in the first 5-6 games or so.
They're banged up too.
Exactly. Yeah.
I know today that Cedric Ogbuehi, I butchered that name by the way. The first round pick is set to practice tomorrow.
He actually practiced today.
Or today.
I saw a tweet on it that he practiced today. So that's good.
I don't think they practiced today.
Well, that's what it said. Well, here, let me look at it again real quick. Well, you go ahead and you chat it up. I'm going to find this thing real quick.
No, to the point is, Andre Smith was out because it was a short week. I think if it wasn't a short week, he probably plays. If it was a Sunday or Monday night game. So, you're adding the talent, and to his, I think he even tweeted out about a month ago that he was ready to go. And the Bengals just didn't need him. But you have a talent like that who's had an extra month to rest, get healthy, get in shape, who can come in and add depth to your offensive line. It's going to be huge, especially if Andre Smith gets banged up. He's been prone to get banged up. He's been pretty solid outside of his first 2 years where he was out with that foot injury. But Jake Fisher's getting more time as second-round rookie offensive tackle, and if you keep adding depth to that position, Whitworth's on his last leg. You're setting yourself up to have a dominant line for the future. And that's not something that we've had around here very frequently.
And see, you know what? A lot of fans, I'm not going to scroll through my timeline to find that tweet. It's buried in there somewhere. But, to go on that point, a lot of people were mad. I heard a lot of criticism of the Bengals, this past draft, with, we passed up on Bud Dupree. And I like Bud Dupree. I thought he was a great, Shane Ray was another player. You know what? Look at the Bengals. They drafted 2 offensive linemen to build that offensive line up, which is what, we're in the AFC North. It is a punch you in the mouth division. It's a smash mouth division. Always has been and always will. It's just the way it is. So you got to have offensive linemen like that that are capable of that. And that's what the Bengals are doing. They're drafting those offensive linemen to back themselves up in cases like this. And Jake Fisher's done great. I think he's done fantastic for what he is. He's a young guy. And then Cedric Ogbuehi, get him going back again, and so he can show us exactly what he is. Great offensive lineman at Texas A&M, so we'll see what he can do here, with the Bengals coming up. But
part of it is, though, this team is drafted so well for something that they did not do in Marvin Lewis's first 5 years. But as we talked last week, once he got the control, this team is drafted so well that they're to the point now where they're they're saying, well, we could take a guy in the first round, and we just don't need him to play right now. I mean, that is – you think 10 years ago, that never would have happened.
Well, you know what I heard?
We're at that point to where we're drafting for the future, not for right now. And I think that speaks to the stability in this organization. And I don't think there's very many organizations around the league that could do that.
I do. I'm with it. And you know what? And actually, who was I listening to? I think it may have been Mike and Mike, actually. But
last week they were talking about how well the Bengals have drafted. Yeah.
And what they said was they redshirt guys, which is so true. That hits right on your point. They have the luxury. They do that. They redshirt guys, it seems like, and back them off, and that and give them a year.
I mean, you think about the positional coaches that have been with Marvin this whole time.
Yeah.
And how well they just flat out coach.
No doubt.
And that's where we're at. I mean, you got one of the best scouting departments in the league, I think, and you got some of the best positional coaches in the league that get these guys who have a lot of raw talent, and without the pressure of having to play right away. You get rid of the pressure, it allows guys to develop.
Exactly.
That's what's happening right now.
Exactly. I mean, that's key. I mean, that is absolutely key for this team. It's that stability. And that's one thing that, Mike Brown does get hammered a lot on, that is the fact that he's so loyal to his guys. But look what it's done. I mean, he's loyal, but there's that stability factor. And if you look at look at this very successful franchises in the NFL. Stability. That's the key. Yeah. That's what the Bengals have right now. I mean, you can't ask for much more than what the Bengals are doing right now. And I mean, it's obviously it's paying off, and
Well, and as we see, it takes more than just stability at the quarterback position, because you can't tell me Andrew Luck's not one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and that team's a dumpster fire. The firing offensive coordinator, you have your punter speaking out against your head coach and your owner and your GM. It's just, if you don't have stability from top to bottom, and your owner doesn't get out of the way and let your organization, the people you put in position to do their job, it doesn't matter who you have in positional spots in the skill positions, it's not going to work. And that's one thing that Mike Brown recognized early on. And I mean, luckily he did, because Marvin Lewis was almost gone. If Mike Brown wasn't willing to change, Marvin Lewis would have left. And who knows where it would have been. So luckily Mike Brown had a aha moment and decided to take that step back. And that's the reason we're having success right now.
Exactly. I mean, that's very, very that's very true. I mean, this is like I said, it's all paying off, and you can't ask for, as a fan, you can't ask for much more, and as a player, obviously, you can't ask for much more than what than what's going on. I mean, it's
these quotes about obviously at this point when you get 8-0, the players are being asked about going 16-0. Have you seen some of these quotes? George Ialoka. It's refreshing because at this point these guys don't care about the regular season. They'll call it what it is, and that's good, because I think they're in the same boat as the fans. When you hear quotes of what's 16-0 when you go and won when it matters, and that's the point. And that's the point that all the fans have had. That's the point that I've had, is the regulars. And I know you disagreed with me last week, but at this point, the regular season is what it is. We've had success there, and all intents and purposes wrapped up this division. It's what happened.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the players are recognizing that. So I think that's positive to see. And you see stuff where Carlos Dunlap wants to get after Michael Strahan's record and stuff. And I think the good thing is these guys are finding additional goals to go after. And that's only going to help their motivation, and it's only going to help their production, and hopefully keep them flying, because they need a bye in the first round. I'm telling you, they do.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, when you battle your body through 16 games, yeah, I mean, any little rest helps out. My whole point though last week, it wasn't really a disagreement with the fact that about let me see what they do in the playoffs. It's just a matter of, my whole thing is, we're seeing something special from this franchise and from this team that this city's never seen from a Bengals team. My whole point was, let's just enjoy that ride.
89 was pretty special.
Well, what I'm saying is we've never seen a team go 8-0. You see what I'm saying? Think of what I mean. Obviously, that '89 season was so much fun. I mean, I remember watching a lot of it. You know, at my grandma's house. You know, going down in their basement, we watched. You know, we watched all that stuff. I remember that as a kid. But my whole thing is, I think the fans. My bone of contention with everyone is the fact that everyone's so concerned about January now in the playoffs. My whole thing is, you know what? Yeah, we'll worry about that when we come to that bridge. Right now, let's enjoy that. That's my whole point of it is, you know what, this is a lot of fun. Let's enjoy that ride. And then, hey, when we get to that bridge, then we can worry about, you know, our playoff game. Because, I mean, yeah, let's face it, we're making the playoffs. You know, like I said, we got the division, like you said, all intents and purposes wrapped up. You know what? I'm just going to enjoy these last 8 games. I'm just going to have fun, man. I mean, enjoy the hell out of this ride because it's been fun. And then when the playoffs come, hey, let's get it going. That's what I'm saying. That's where I was coming from, you know, on that point. That's all.
A 4-game lead in the loss column. Actually, a 4-game lead on Pittsburgh in general, having a win over them already.
With a hurt Roethlisberger and no Le'Veon Bell.
I tell you what, he's – I don't you know, another injury, same leg. If they get through this one, it'd be really impressive if they can somehow stay in it with Ben Roethlisberger playing essentially 3 games this year. You know, Mike Tomlin will have to be up for Coach of the Year. You know, honest to God, you're on your third quarterback in the NFL, and somehow you're in the playoffs right now. I mean, it's amazing. What did Antonio Brown have? 260 yards.
It was 264, I believe, is what he had. Was it 264 or 284?
264 freaking yards.
I think was it 284 though.
I don't know. It was an insane amount. It was more than some offenses had by themselves.
It was more than what Dalton had in an entire game passing. I mean, that's insane. Okay, Brent, he was one of the best. I mean, he's one of the biggest weapons on that team, and I do feel for for Le'Veon Bell, obviously, but
oh, come on, why?
Well, I'm just saying because he's one of the best running backs. That's all I'm saying. I hate to see any guy get hurt. I mean, because my whole thing is, I mean, I feel bad for the guy. I mean, my God, you don't like to see guys get hurt. I mean,
well, no, but he's in our division.
Well, I know. I'm not. It's not like I'm cheering it. Jesus.
I don't remember too many Steelers fans feeling sorry for the Bengals when Carson Palmer's knee got shredded on the first drive in the playoffs in 05. Do you? I remember a lot of Steelers fans saying, I was sucking up. That's what a lot of them.
I was numb. I'm not gonna.
No sympathy for me towards the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, I'm not saying I'm not out there like saying let's send them get well cards. Jesus, no. We would have won this division, honest to God, with a healthy Le'Veon Bell and Ben Roethlisberger. Anyway, the way this team's playing, I'm sorry, we'd have beat them no matter what.
Well, sure, I like playing against them without them. I mean,
it's easier. It's much easier. I'll tell you that.
Less stressful.
You know what it is. It's nice. It's nice dealing with that. I'll give you that. I'll definitely give you that. But I mean, like I said, when you have, like I said, everything's kind of rolling our way right now. Defense has just played, just immaculate so far. Outside of the first half against Manziel, it was funny because when did we do our show? Did we do it on Wednesday last week?
That was Monday.
No, Monday. Oh, my God. I swear I haven't been drinking. You are, but I'm not. But
hey, I mean, I'm looking at the schedule. Hey, the Bengals kind of got a pretty nice break here from the NFL.
You know what? I know. It's not looking too shabby.
you get a bye week, you get the Steelers, and you have a short week against the Browns, who, you know, that's the best. If you want a short week against anybody, it's the Browns. And then you get essentially 11 days off. You get another bye week.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's the best part. I mean, that mini bye week is, I mean, it's phenomenal. You know, it definitely helps out a little bit. We'll go with that.
Well, yeah, when especially when you're already pretty healthy, but you got some guys going up, you get another 11 days off. It's pretty good scheduling.
Yeah, no doubt. And then we got the we got the Texans on a week from tonight, which we will not be doing a show obviously because it's Monday Night Football. But we've got that, and then then we go to Arizona the following week. The problem is that's a short week. Then we got to travel out to Arizona, which is tough. But that's the game I predict the Bengals will get their first loss. I just Arizona, they're stacked. They're good. Then we got St. Louis at home, which could be a tricky game. Todd Gurley, he's just been playing out of his mind so far as a rookie. Good for him. He's, coming off that knee injury that was, just nasty last year. But, like you said, overall, pretty solid schedule now coming up for the Bengals, at least for the next couple of weeks. And we'll kind of see how they, how they react, because like I said, they're enjoying themselves. So we'll see how they get going.
I'm going to go on a limb and say that game against the 49ers is not going to be a Sunday night game.
I said that. I was telling somebody at work, and they were like, "Oh, man, we got like 5, primetime games." I was like,
that game will get flexed out.
I was like, "Yeah, there's." And I was looking at games that week, and I forget which. There was a big game that week, and I forget which one it was. I said that one. I was like, that one's getting flexed in. I forget which one it was. It was the Packers and some. I forget off the top of my head, but I was like, yeah, that's. Bengals Niners is that's not going to be. What are you doing, dude? Well, I just lost Hicksy, so I don't know what happened to him. Let's see if we can get him back on. I know he's. I don't know where he is. Let's see. Let me see if I can get him back on here again. He just dumped out. Let's see here. Let me get him back on. See, while I'm waiting for him. Actually, while I am waiting for him, I did want to mention something, quickly about the. And I know it's going to be kind of different than what we normally talk about, on this show. As many of you guys know, I do combat sports as well. I do the FTI Combat Sports Show. Also, I'm a writer and analyst for Page 2 Sports on the combat sports section there. But I did kind of want to briefly talk about while I'm adjusting my computer here and waiting for Hicksy to get on the line. Let's see, he just shot me a text. His computer died, so I got to hold down the fort. One thing I do want to touch on, like I said, combat sports wise, Bellator and what they've done it's very frustrating if you're a mixed martial arts fan. I've been trying to, I'm going to be working on an article for Page 2 Sports, so make sure you check it out. But what Bellator's done, if you watch, Bellator this past Friday night, they were talking about it's the Bellator event coming up in February. It's going to have Kimbo Slice taking on Dada 5000, who is another street fighter. He has a history with Kimbo Slice, who was his bodyguard. Basically they work together on a lot of things. They're going to be, if they had a falling out, so they're going to be fighting along with Hoist Gracie, 49-year-old Hoist Gracie, and then 51-year-old Ken Shamrock. They're going to be the main event that night. Honestly, Bellator, it's tough to talk about because when you see two legends who are going to be stepping in the cage, who are combined 100 years old, Kimbo, or not Kimbo Slice, but it was Kimbo Slice and Ken Shamrock last time that we were discussing all this and how bad it was. Bellator's doing it again now with Hoist Gracie and Ken Shamrock, like I said, who are combined 100 years old. And to me, what's really frustrating about it is if you're a hardcore mixed martial arts fan and you see what Bellator is doing, it's frustrating because you have a lot of guys on that promotion who, like Daniel Strauss, for example, he's a Cincinnati guy here. He just beat Pitbull to Patricio Pitbull to win the title. Things like that. They have great fighters in Bellator, and unfortunately, they have to. And I get what Scott Coker has to do. He has to go out and he has to get eyes on his product. And he's got guys he has to promote himself, and to get eyes on that product, you sometimes have to throw together these freak show fights, and that's what he's doing. And unfortunately, these freak show fights, I mean, it could be costing. I mean, it gives a black eye to mixed martial arts, and that's what's really frustrating about everything. And when you see that, it doesn't look good, especially when you see, like I said, two legends who are, Hoist Gracie, won the first UFC, and then obviously Ken Shamrock, he is what he is. These guys, legends, and they're going to be kind of selling out, at the end of their careers and fight. It doesn't look good. And then Kimbo Slice and Dada 5000. I mean, come on. Like, what a joke. I mean, like I said, you're going to get – and honestly, with this card, you may see the biggest audience, the Bellator's ever seen coming on, because of this card. And that's what's going to be interesting about everything is what comes of this. There was also talk of Kurt Angle, who he's been signed by Bellator to kind of just, be an ambassador. How you doing, Scott?
Hey.
I was just talking a little Bellator, MMA. So I had some things to get off my chest.
Hey, I just saw Josh Donaldson named AL MVP.
Bam, bringer of rain, baby. I love it. Love it.
Way to hold down the fort, Chris. Thanks.
No problem. It was, I saw you climb up on what the hell? Looks perfect. I got a question. I'm a big guy. How do you feel the news of life? How would you feel about watching two guys the age of 100 old, but how would you feel about watching something like that?
I didn't hear the question. You were breaking up.
Okay, let's try it again. Okay, how would you feel, and what are your thoughts on watching a fight with two legends in mixed martial arts with a combined age of 100 years old? One's 49 and one's 51. I mean, that doesn't sound good, does it?
Is it Randy Couture and
honestly, that was a good guess, but no, it's actually Ken Shamrock and Hoist Gracie. So Hoist Gracie won the first UFC, just a legend. I mean, two legends.
Nutbag.
Hey, the world's most dangerous man. But yeah.
What was his theme song when he was with the WWE?
It was
pretty sick, if I remember.
Oh, it was legit. You know what? Let me see if I can find that on while I'm doing that. It was awesome. It was one of my all-time favorite themes. Like, let me see if I can pull it up.
I would watch Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture again.
You know what? Hey.
Those were always fun back in the day.
You know what? I love that. I love that kind. Like Bellator's they've been throwing on the street or like just the freak show fights. I mean, you've heard of Kimbo Slice.
Yeah.
He's gonna be fighting on this card in February along with. It's just, I don't know. It kind of gives mixed martial arts a black eye, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But that's why I was just kind of wondering, because I know you're not really like hardcore into it. That's why I was kind of. Let me see if I can. I'm not even gonna look it up. Heck with it. I was going to, but I don't feel like rolling through it all. Let's see. Now I got to get back to what we were looking at. So now that you're back on the show again, that was kind of a nice way to come back on.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here again.
But I think what we were talking about before you dropped off was, the defense and the adjustments that were made, how they were, like you said, they made the adjustments at halftime. Because honestly, Johnny Manziel, who I've never been a fan of, and I've shredded him, numerous times.
Would you start him again this week?
Honestly, yeah, I would, because you know what, your season's lost.
I mean, what do they have to get from Josh McCown for the future? I mean,
well, you have to figure out if he's going to be your quarterback or not. That's just what it comes down to. And I think now with this season lost, I mean, you just got to see what he can do. And honestly, he showed glimpses of greatness in that game a little bit. And, I mean, because he can make some plays happen. The guy is so athletic. It's just, it is what it is. And that's, I mean, the Bengals, who was it? It was Coach Brian Billick was on Mike and Mike in the morning. He was saying, you know what, if I'm the Bengals defense, he said, if I'm the Bengals, the first defensive lineman that over-pursued Manziel, he's like, I'd pull him that in the very next play. He said, if you keep a pocket around him, he's like, I would not play man-to-man. He's like, you play zone. He's like, you keep them in that pocket. He's like, he can't read any of those zones.
Well, the Bengals didn't need to do it. His own coach at halftime, his own coach told him to stay in the pocket.
Yeah, that was
in a halftime interview with Michelle. Whoever the sideline reporter was,
Michelle Tafoya,
said, "Well, we want him to make more plays from the pocket." When clearly him getting outside the pocket is what worked.
Exactly.
He clearly said, "Well, we want to keep him in the." So I mean, it's astounding to me that you could have in Cleveland go through as many quarterbacks as you have and as many head coaches and miss on almost every single one.
We know what's funny.
How a head coach cannot look at Johnny Manziel at this point in his development and say he's making plays outside the pocket. We're down by a point to one of the best teams in the league, but let's change the game plan and put him in a position where he's uncomfortable.
You know what, exactly. And it's funny because there was a Browns fan who was sitting behind us, like kind of diagonally behind me. Awesome guy. This guy was really cool, easy to talk to. He was just, it was nice having a fan who was really knowledgeable and just, good talking to him about it. And it was just one of those, we were discussing it, I think, at halftime, like, you know what, until they clean up their front office, this crap ain't changing. And
but
that's
they do.
the thing.
They're the fifth general manager since they've been back.
Well, that is true. That is true. But they have to find
ownership. They've had good coaches.
True. But what I'm saying is, until you get a front office that's clean, if you look at what the Bengals have done, I mean, they've stability and they put the right people around. That's what I'm saying. That's where I'm coming from. Like, if you can get, once they do that, then this team could be dangerous. But until then,
I was in Cleveland last week for work and listening to their sports talk radio. I'm sure that you and all the followers have heard that Cleveland was shopping Eric Thomas.
Thomas, the Broncos.
And that they're offering a second and a first round pick. And they actually did on ESPN Radio up there, the really big show, which I love their show, by the way. Tony Rizzo does a fantastic job. It's always a great show to listen to. They did a survey of their listeners of would you do the deal? And it was astounding to me how many of them called and said no. But the reasoning for saying no was they don't trust their management with the first-round pick.
Oh, my God.
Because you look at it, the last 2 years, they have had 4 first-round picks. 4. And have missed on all 4.
Yeah.
I mean, that is – you have to try at this league to miss on 4 first-round picks. And that's where they're at. The fan base doesn't trust a soul to make a pick. So they're saying, why give up a guy to get picks? Because we've had a ton of picks the last few years. and we can't get anybody of quality.
Well, if you look at if you miss on 2 picks, 2 first-round picks, that could set your franchise back a couple years.
If you miss on a quarterback in the first round, you're set back 5 years, which the Browns have done the last 6 years. They've missed on 3 of them.
Yeah, and then so like I said, if you miss on 4 of those picks, you set yourself back a lot. And then the fact that a couple of them are quarterbacks, good Lord. I mean, see, obviously, I'm an Oklahoma State fan, so the Brandon Weeden, I like that pick, but not in the first round. Brandon Weeden's a 6th or 7th round pick. I mean, he was great, but he's just not the Justin Gilbert one. I did like. I thought he would be much better than what he is. He hasn't. But regardless, hey, a dud's a dud when it comes to it. When it comes down to everything. So,
I mean, you think about who they could have had.
Oh,
instead of Johnny Manziel, Derek Carr, Teddy Bridgewater.
Man, I know.
You look at what Derek Carr is doing right now, and he's doing it in Oakland.
I know, dude. Okay, let's quick side note. How good is Amari Cooper?
Phenomenal,
dude. That kid, unbelievable.
But Oakland is a perfect example of an organization that was in the tank, like the Browns are and have been, but they got the right guy in the general manager's position. And look at some of the draft picks, and they hit on Amari Cooper, they hit on Matt, they hit on Carr. They're hitting on their first and second round draft picks.
That's key.
And now look at them; they're right at 500.
Yeah, I mean they're right. I mean,
when you do your due diligence and you get people who know what they're doing, and you hit on draft picks, you can turn your franchise around in a year.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
I think that's what's frustrating for Browns fans is you have 4 first-round picks the last 2 years, and you're still the worst team in the league, and you missed on all 4.
Yeah, that's pretty embarrassing. Like, that's pretty bad.
I mean,
let's just be honest.
That's why they're the Browns. That's why they're the laughing stock of the league.
Exactly. And what's funny is another example. Only the Browns being the Browns. That was it that the first round when the first down when who was it that blew up Gio Bernard and stood over top of him and taunted him, and I'm like, you just got a 15-yard penalty. I'm like, that's why you're the Browns. That kind of crap right there. You can't get out of your own way.
They don't have a culture, and this is something that they talked about on the radio up there last week. Is there's no culture. The culture has been garbage since they've gotten back in '99. Butch Davis was the only head coach there that resembled anything worth a darn. But they keep changing head coaches every 2 years, yet the culture doesn't change. I mean,
exactly.
You get a guy in Mike Pettin who was a solid coach in Buffalo, but nobody else wanted to hire him. Nobody else even interviewed him. Yet the Browns hire him. And that's the problem is they can't get anybody to go there. They're getting guys that nobody else wants to be their head coach, and that's why they fire him every 2 years, and that's why they have the turnover, and that's why things don't change.
Exactly. I mean, it's a never-ending cycle, and they got their work cut out for them. So it is what it is.
I enjoy watching it. I mean, it's a good dumpster fire to follow.
Oh, I mean, it's human nature to sit there and sit back and watch a train wreck. And my God, I know so many Browns
what we went through in the '90s as Bengals fans. To see somebody else go through it.
Exactly.
Now we know what the Steelers felt like for 15 years.
I know. Exactly. I know. It's like kind of nice. You just sit back and watch these teams just self-destruct. It's so bad.
The Achilles Smith days all over again.
Whew, Kajana Carter, Big Daddy Dan Wilkinson. Oh man,
it's still. I mean, Achilles Smith was the number 1 overall pick.
I know.
It still astounds me to this day.
I know. It is what it is, man. Speaking of that, okay. Before we transition over to college football, did you get a chance to watch the Football Life, Paul Brown?
I did not. I heard it was really good though.
It was. I was chance. It was cool to see everything.
They previewed it quite a bit on Thursday. I know you were at the game, but they previewed it with the Bengals playing the Browns. It was kind of fitting.
Exactly.
But yeah, it was. They showed bits and pieces of it. I heard nothing but good things. Hopefully I can catch it here soon.
Yeah, it was really good. It's definitely a recommended watch. So, well, you want to transition into some college football? Or do you got anything else to add with the Bengals?
No, I can't wait for you to tell me I was right. So I'm waiting for that moment. We can get to it anytime now regarding my rankings last week.
I think this show has to end. I think we're about done. We had a good run, guys, and I think let's close it up.
Come on, Chris.
Well, you were.
Don't be like that.
I'm not. I'm going to give you credit where it's due. Watch out for my telling you.
Well, it's still a long way out. I mean, their benefit. Well, their benefit is they get, and I don't know if T. Boone Pickens sent the Big 12 scheduler on a nice vacation, but to get TCU at home, Baylor at home, and Oklahoma at home in the same year is one heck of a gift.
It's fantastic.
I mean, how in the heck do you get that schedule?
The only thing I don't like about the Big 12 schedule is it's so backloaded. That's the only thing.
Yeah, but how would you get last 4 games at home against the other 3 powers?
Because you're going and playing Texas, San Antonio on the road.
I don't know how they. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna backload your schedule, at least mix it up.
Hey,
to get every one of them at home is just. They got to be the front runners to win the Big 12 now, and they got to be a front runner to make it to the college football playoffs. I mean, that's tough.
I totally agree with that because, and I'm not saying this because I'm a little biased, but they've got the best defense in the Big 12, and look at what they did to Trevin Boykin and TJ. I mean, they were just
9 points at the half. Are you kidding me? Such
a dominant performance, and I mean, I was jacked up watching that game. I was so pumped. You had. I mean, they had a couple tough games, and this Oklahoma State team has flown under the radar the entire season. I mean, not too many people have been, have paid too much attention to them. I mean, Mason Rudolph, having a great season at quarterback. J.W. Walsh comes in, and he's their, red zone guy basically. It's just. This team's flying under the radar, and then they got the best defense in the Big 12. Like you said, they've got they're at Iowa State this Saturday, which derailed their perfect season a couple years back when they had Whedon and Justin Blackman and those guys. So there's a little bit of revenge in that.
Was that a Thursday or Friday night game?
Thursday night game.
Yeah, field goal at the end of the night. That was a brutal loss. I remember that one now. That was awful.
I was a little upset. I remember getting up out of my bed and going downstairs and crack open a few cold ones after that. I was for that. That's just an inexcusable loss. I mean, now you get I think Iowa State, I believe off the top of my head, it's 2-8 or something like that. It's like, come on, guys, like they're brutal. But you got them on the road. Then, like you said, then you come home for Baylor at home, and then you got Oklahoma at home, and in the Bedlam game. That's what they. And like I said, this team's flown under the radar. If they went out there, no doubt in the college football playoff. And I got to give Mike Gundy credit for what he's done this year. He's done a great job. For a team that's not too many people, or I know nobody picked to be in this position. So more power to him. But overall, I have to say you're right with your rankings and the Baylor and TCU aspect of it. I got to give you credit for that.
Well, Baylor should have lost to Kansas State. That was an unfortunate way that game ended. But it's just when you look at Oklahoma State and you look at their schedule, it's tough to predict what they did this past weekend. It's hard to say you saw it coming. I mean, they played at Central, which kudos to them for going up and playing at a MAC school.
Oh, I know.
But Central gave them a game.
Yeah.
They go to Texas, win by a field goal. They win by 2 at home against Kansas State. They were in a tight game at West Virginia.
That was an overtime game, I believe. The West Virginia game was.
They were getting routed in the first quarter by Texas Tech, and they gave up 53 points to Texas Tech.
Yeah.
So it's tough to really look at their performance this year and say, yeah, we saw this coming. Yeah, they were undefeated, but
I mean,
not a good football team. Central Michigan is not a great football team. Kansas State is not a good football team.
Yeah,
and West Virginia, and you're playing tight games with all of them, and you can't say, hey, we're looking ahead at our schedule.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's just I don't know if this team can ring 2 more of these type of performances together, which is what they're going to need to beat Baylor and Oklahoma in back-to-back weeks. I don't think they have it in them.
I'm with you.
I think they get by Baylor because not sold on the freshman just yet. Coleman's is an absolute stud, but I just don't know how much they're going to be able to keep up with Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma gets them at the end of the year. I really do, and I think Oklahoma gets them, and I think that will keep a Big 12 team from getting to the playoffs. I think TCU gets Baylor, and I think Oklahoma gets Oklahoma State, and I think they're left out again.
I would agree. I agree with you on that. Quick question though. Speaking of Coleman, is he now the Heisman frontrunner because of Fournette and
Fournette tripped up? He had a tough game, but the kid is the best player in college football.
I was just saying.
No, I mean Coleman's a great player.
The kid's a stud.
The guy's going to be a heck of an NFL player, but what Leonard Fournette is averaging 172 yards a game.
And honestly, he went
Alabama's front seven is the best front seven in college football.
Exactly.
They've been dominant against the run ever since Nick Saban's been there. I'm not surprised with what happened with Leonard Fournette. You can't do the running back without an offensive line, and the offensive line got beat off the line the whole night. So yeah, he had a bad game, but it's not. Running backs rely on their offensive line a lot of the times, and vice versa. But I'm not going to hold one game against him. He's been so dominant so far this year. The guy's still a front for me.
What about Derrick Henry? Where would you put him now? Heisman, because my rankings on the website. FeelTheImpactSports.com, by the way. My rankings. So what's that?
Nice plug.
Yeah, shame. It's got to be shameless plug. This is our show. We can do that. Going into it, going into this week, my Heisman rankings were I had Fournette first, I had Boykin second, then I did have Coleman third. Derrick Henry, man, that kid just continues to impress, and I'm kind of, do you throw him in there, number 3 over Coleman? Where do you? Because I think to me Boykin's going to drop, and he's not. He's going to drop from 2 in my book. It's just a matter of.
I didn't even have Boykin in my top 5. You can't look at who he played. You can put anybody in the Big 12 could have put up video game numbers against the teams that they're playing. You got to take competition into this account at some point, and he was exposed against. Oklahoma State's defense might be the best in the Big 12, but it's average when it comes to the rest of the country. And
ouch.
You give up 53 points to stinking Texas Tech at home. Come on.
No, it was on the road. That was at Texas Tech.
Still.
Hey, it makes a difference, man. Makes a difference. Cliff Kingsbury's got it going on, man.
Well, yeah, what happened to them this weekend? They got stifled at West Virginia. So, no, it doesn't happen to everybody.
Man.
He wasn't even in my top 5. He got exposed against a mediocre defense. I don't think there's any other way to put it. I tell you, somebody I have in my top 3 that you may not have is McCaffrey out of Stanford. What that kid has meant to that team and getting them back in the hunt
Yeah, but if you look at his numbers just aren't. I looked at him the other day, and I just wasn't impressed with his numbers. Dude, the kid's having a great season. I'm not going to take that away from him. He's playing out of his mind. But just like if you look at the numbers compared to the other guys in the country, like I could not put him in my top three. I mean, but it's tough because I know exactly what you're saying. For what he's meant to Stanford, dude, this kid, I mean, and plus Ed McCaffrey's son, I love it. I love Ed. As a Broncos fan, I love Ed McCaffrey.
Well, and that's a pretty smart family when you look at it.
Yeah.
The kid self-taught himself how to play the piano. He doesn't know how to read music, but he can play Mozart. Get off me. Come on. Get out of here, dude.
I hate people like that.
No,
I can barely function.
I think it's Fournette and then Henry at the top, and I have McCaffrey as my third choice. I mean, I have Elliott in there in the top 5, and I think I have Coleman in the top 5. Elliott and Coleman can rotate 4 or 5. I'm indifferent about that, but I think I don't think there's a quarterback in the country that's going to win this award, and I think this would be the first time in over a decade that's happened.
No, Mark Ingram, he won.
That was about 02. Well, it was about 04 or 05, wasn't it?
No, Mark Ingram was like 2012.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought he was older than that.
No, seems like it. It seems like he's been in the NFL forever. I'll give you that. I know. I'll give you that, man. Well, it's kind of okay. Let's transition out of the Heisman talk because we kind of, I got a little sidetracked on that one. How would you say, okay, playoff rankings? Now let's look at it going into this week. What are your rankings going to look like? Going into based off last week and going into this week.
I can tell you that they're probably going to jump Ohio State with Alabama, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. I wouldn't change my top 2. My top 2 last week were well, actually, it was LSU. So I would move Clemson. I would give Clemson the number 1 based on they have 2 better wins than Ohio State. That's a solid win against Florida State. Florida State's they're okay. I think they're getting exposed to quarterback now without Winston. So I would put them at 1, but I would have Ohio State still at number 2. They're undefeated, and they're beating everybody in the schedule. And yes, their offense was lackluster last week, but with a lot of the turmoil that went on around that program over the last week, it was to be expected. But their defense is still extremely solid, and their defense showed it against Minnesota that they're one of the top defenses in the country. And Ezekiel Elliott's finding his stride. JT Barrett will be back this week. It'd be interesting to see how he performs. But I know that they're going to jump Ohio State with Alabama based on the win this past weekend. And
to me, they should.
It's ridiculous. See, they lost at home, turning the ball over 5 times to Ole Miss.
Okay, I get that.
The whole schedule into account, that's a bad loss at home where they looked awful. You can say Ohio State hasn't looked great. They've won all their games.
That's true. I get that. But if your job as the playoff committee is to put the best 4 teams in the playoff, nobody right now is playing better in college football than Alabama.
I mean that, but
who's playing better than Alabama right now?
Saying Alabama's playing better than Clemson?
Yeah, right now, as of right now, yeah, they're playing better than Clemson.
No way.
Oh,
no way.
Yes, they are. Right now, Alabama is playing better than Clemson. Right now, no doubt they're playing better than Clemson. Clemson's right there. It may be 1A, 1B, but they're playing better than Clemson, though. See, I got Alabama.
Based on 1 week where they shut down a team that's one-dimensional?
Yeah.
Brandon Harris is not going to beat you with his arm, and that was evident. Because they pretty much stacked the box against him, and he couldn't do it.
I mean, they went.
But you're going to tell me a 19-14 win at home over Tennessee is a dominant performance? A 27-14 win. Well, that was the game that they won last week. So you can't say that they're playing that dominant when they just had one. Alabama at home under the lights is going to shine. It happens.
But then you go on the road and you take down a number 9 Texas A&M team 41-23. I mean, and then you go on the road and you beat Georgia 38-10.
It was terrible.
I'm just saying. But you still go on the road and do that. If you look at their schedule, then they do go on the road now to Mississippi State, which, that's a 3:30 game against a 7-2 Mississippi State team.
And then they got a tough one after that, Chris.
Oh, it's Charleston Southern.
It's a trap game.
Hey, Charleston Southern's 8-1, dude. Watch out. Oh, don't say that Jeezel Pete's crap. Don't give me that.
You're talking about 1 week where they played a really good team and they played them well, which they always do. But you can't look at it and say that they're playing better than a Clemson Tiger team who's undefeated. And
at this point right now, yeah. That's all I'm saying. Right now, at this point, they are. They're playing better than Clemson is.
So that 17-14 win at home against a 500 Tennessee team is really impressive, dude.
I never said that.
That was 2 weeks ago. Clemson this week knocked off a top 20 team at home. How is that not a solid win? They have a win against a top team.
It is. They don't have a schedule.
They don't have a loss against.
Dude, you're acting like I'm completely Clemson out. No, Clemson is damn good football. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Clemson is just as good. And personally, I'm probably when I do my rankings this week, I'm probably gonna have Clemson still number 1, even over Alabama. I know it's contradictory what I just said, but
it's very contradictory what you just said.
It is. But what I'm saying is though, like I had Clemson, my number 1 team going into last week. But looking at what they did at home, to Florida State, yeah, I'm going to keep them number 1. I'm going to have Alabama number 2. I still don't know what I'm going to do number 3, but I'm going to have Oklahoma State in there at 4. But I'm not throwing Clemson out. I'm not throwing them out. Clemson's a damn good football team right now. And honestly, I'm just saying, and if you look at their schedule, and they've got it. They got a pretty easy final 3 games. You do go to Syracuse, which could be a tricky game in the Dome. They've put up a fight against a couple teams, but then you're at home against Clemson or against Wake Forest. But you do go to South Carolina, and obviously in a big rivalry game. But there's no reason right now that they shouldn't be, they shouldn't finish the season undefeated like that. Well, with that schedule. But to me, Clemson. I don't care. I think Clemson's a damn good football team. I'm not saying that. But it wouldn't surprise me though. I guess my point is it wouldn't surprise me if they put Bama number 1, just because right now they are
an absolute embarrassment.
When has that ever stopped the committee? Before, you see what I'm saying?
Well, but that's just they and this was brought up this week on a lot of national shows about the perception of Alabama and how they get credit for things. This was brought up in the case comparing now Florida laid an egg this week, but when you looked at their resumes going into this weekend, Florida's was better than Alabama's. There's no arguing that. Florida's only loss was a tough game on the road at LSU. Alabama's loss was an embarrassment at home against Ole Miss where they turned the ball over 5 times. There was no difference, yet they were ranked 6 spots apart. And for some reason, the committee has Alabama on such a pedestal.
Dude, I can't say
that. They get the benefit of the doubt more than any other team in the country.
I cannot disagree, or I cannot agree with you anymore. I can't disagree with that because that's one thing that drives me nuts. There's such an SEC bias. It drives me nuts.
Well, I don't think it's so much an SEC bias. I think it's just an Alabama bias.
Oh no, it's an SEC bias overall. Look at what look at some of the teams they got up there. I mean, it's just it is what they've always had this love affair with the SEC. Always have. And it's to the detriment of football sometimes, to where other teams get left out because everyone's drooling over the SEC, and that's where the whole Alabama thing comes in. Yeah, are they a good football team? You're damn right they're a good football team, but it is just sometimes they just get they just get gooped on so much that, oh my God, it's Alabama. And that's just the way it is, just because they've had this run of success lately. And it's aggravating for people outside of the South. It's just the way it is,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that some of that mystique has gone away the last 2 years with how poorly they performed in the bowl game.
Yeah, definitely.
I think some of that mystique is gone. I think Alabama is on a different pedestal than everyone else in the SEC, and that's evident with how they ranked a couple of the other SEC teams. I just don't see how they can have that big of a gap between Alabama and Florida, and it's you could tell me you put the tape on and they just look different. Yeah, but it's all about performance. And on paper, Ohio State's supposed to be a dominant team. They haven't lived up to it, but they've won all their games. Baylor has been a dominant team. Yeah, maybe they didn't play the best schedule, but they've won all their games. And Stanford has one loss. Their first week of the year, they've been pretty dominant since, yet they were ranked 11th.
Yeah.
It's just it's Nick Saban is Nick Saban. He's the Bill Belichick of college football, and they get more respect than anybody else in the country.
No doubt. I mean, they've got to,
Force it or not. I mean, they're a good football team. I'm not saying they don't belong in the poll, but to have them jump over undefeated teams is ludicrous to me.
Well,
and I tell you what, seeding matters in this stuff, Chris. You know that.
No doubt it does. It definitely does.
I mean, if you look at even Notre Dame and where they're at, I mean,
what they were fifth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
but you're going to have teams like Iowa. You're going to have teams like Oklahoma State. You're going to have teams like Stanford who are going to be knocking on the door, and Baylor. And what are you going to do with Oklahoma if they were on the table?
I mean,
how do you value one loss comparative, to one another? I mean, that's the thing. This is why I've been saying from the beginning they need to go to eight teams.
I was just going to say.
They always, then the ninth team's going to be mad. Yeah, but the ninth team is the quality of that ninth team, and their argument is a lot less than the fifth team.
Yeah.
And, when you look at a year like this, when you're probably going to have a good chance of having an undefeated team left out.
I can't. I mean, I'm totally with you, man. That's what's really frustrating about it is when you have an 18 playoff. Yeah, the ninth teams. You know what? Chances are that ninth team hasn't done enough to get into the playoff discussion. Yeah. I'm going to say 99% of the time. Because you're going to have some deserving teams. I mean, if you look at, let's look at it right now. I mean, you've got LSU is still warranted to be in there in the top 8. Clemson, obviously, Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma State. Where was I going to? Notre Dame. What was another one? I was just
right now in the playoffs. The poll comes out tomorrow night, and the coaches poll, LSU's at 9. So they in those two polls they'd be out right now.
Oh, they were at 9. I haven't seen anything, so I don't know.
Stanford's up to 7. Iowa's at 8. Notre Dame at 6. Oklahoma State at 5. Baylor at 4. Alabama 3. Ohio State at 2, and Clemson at 1. And honestly, I would swap Oklahoma State and Baylor because Oklahoma State has a better win. But I think the AP has it pretty close to accurate. Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama, Oklahoma State. Then you have Baylor at 5, Notre Dame at 6, Stanford at 7, Iowa undefeated at 8. I think that would be your top 8. And LSU at 9, Utah they have at 10. no argument with that. But you're also going to have these things play out over the next couple of weeks. So, we are bickering about, some moot points. But it is fun to bicker with you. But I think the AP poll has it pretty close to accurate.
Yeah, AP for the most part, AP is pretty good. So, I'm 100% with you, man. I think that, especially it's going to be interesting to see because there was talk of the 18 playoff or the 18 playoff last year just because of the way everything kind of shook out and everything like that. But hey, the playoff works. I mean, it gets it done. I love it. I love the playoff. I just think if you expanded, those 4 extra teams, you have a Power 5 conference for a reason. The so-called Power 5, but only 4 of them can get in. You see what I'm saying? But
we talked on it last week about why we thought 18, and obviously Memphis took care of some of that, laying an egg at home. But you still got Houston as an opportunity. Michigan State.
They play Memphis this week.
Speaking of Michigan State, what a terrible way to lose a football game.
Man. The funny thing is, I was telling someone, I said, Michigan State has had the benefit of a couple calls going their way this year, and those things tend to even themselves out.
Yeah, they should be 8-1 right now. Period. They should have won Saturday night, but they should have lost to Michigan.
Exactly. It evened itself out in a rude way. That was, was he forced out? Yeah, but it was by good technique. The guy, he ran him out of bounds. He didn't force him out though. My goodness. I was laying in bed watching that game, and I was like, oh my. I could not believe that happened. Stunning.
Well, just think about it, though. If Michigan did win that game against Michigan State, and you could be looking at Ohio State facing 2 8-1 teams down the stretch, and then it doesn't matter what Alabama does. If they win those 2 games and go undefeated, Alabama's not jumping them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally agree.
But I'll tell you this. As an Ohio State fan, I don't want to face Alabama in the first round.
Well, I don't blame you. I wouldn't either. Because there's also that revenge factor from last year, too.
Not after what Ohio State did to them last year. Nick Saban's out for blood.
Yeah, I wouldn't. As a non-Ohio State fan, I'm going to sit back and watch that with some popcorn because that'd be honestly a fun game to watch, period, for any football fan. Maybe not for you guys, but.
I either want Ohio State at 1 or 4. Because I don't think Alabama's getting to 1.
I don't want that 2 or 3 matchup.
No, good God, I think Alabama will be in that 2 or 3 matchup when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I don't think
Florida beating them in the crazier things have happened. Vanderbilt almost beat Florida in the swamp, so.
That's true. Honestly, what a fun game to watch would be a Clemson Oklahoma State game. I think that'd be a fun first round matchup to see.
Who would win a fight between Dabo Swinney and Mike Gundy? Because Mike Gundy's a man, but Dabo's can dance a little bit.
Dude,
have you seen him breaking it down? Holy God.
I did. You know what? How much fun would it be to play for Dabo Swinney? Man, that guy's he just seems like he just loves life. Like he's a good guy.
Well, he can't do the nay worth a darn.
Well, not too many people can. Let's go there. Let's just be honest here. So, well, I think that's about it. You got anything else?
No, I'm good.
Oh, there we go. Well, schedule-wise, I know I'm kind of out of commission until the next couple of nights. I don't know what just as we kind of look ahead. What does your schedule look like?
We'll talk off the air and try to get a more consistent. I think we're gonna go for every Monday night, and if we can get a second night a week, we'll work on that for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. So, except for like I said, next Monday night will be out of the question just because the Monday night football game. But I am off work next week. A couple days. So
you don't want to broadcast from the stadium, Chris?
Actually, we could.
You could at your tailgate. We could get a little broadcast going.
We could do that.
Short segment.
We can figure something out. We can maybe get something going.
Well, let's work on that.
We can do that. We can do that.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll
plug our new Twitter account, Chris.
What's that?
Plug our new Twitter account.
I was just getting ready to, man. I was just gonna say, well, we're gonna keep you guys updated on Twitter. We have a brand new Twitter account. It's Hicksy and Chris. For obviously for the show, Hicksy and Chris on Sports. We are looking for a logo. If anyone out there can help us out with that, if you kind of want to cut your teeth at some some logo design, maybe a little C and an H, maybe like some cartoon pictures of us. You can see our ugly mugs here, and then I've got on Twitter kind of got our banner, Hicksy and Chris on Sports. It looks good, but that's where you're gonna be. What's that?
It's a public service drawing. There is no monetary value added.
That's true.
The quality
but I can tell you what, we'll plug the living crap out of it. We'll promote the crap out of that thing. So, yeah, I mean, if anyone out there's
live from Longer Hall,
Dickie's Barbecue. But I mean, yeah, if anyone's able
is
to,
catering the tailgate?
I'll talk about that.
Everybody have to come down if that's going on.
Hey, man, he's a good guy. He's a riot. He's a Florida fan though, so that's the only. He did go to the University of Florida, so I will say that. Not you that. But I mean, if you guys know anyone who'd be willing to out with with the logo, that'd be fantastic. Maybe some cartoon, like I said, like a cartoon type character of Scott and myself, with the Hicksy and Chris. Maybe a little CNH show type thing. It'd be fantastic. Again, we'll plug the crap out of it. We'll promote the living hell out of you. So any help would be fantastic. Again, you can check us out on Twitter at Hicksy and Chris. That's the show Twitter account. We're gonna try, in the future, we're gonna try and take some questions. That's where we're gonna interact with everyone. So make sure you check us out there. Follow us on that. I did revamp the website a little bit. It's feeltheimpactsports.com. Trying to get a little more added on there. I'm gonna put up a store, a couple other things on there. So throughout the next couple weeks, I'm gonna definitely get the look of that changed a little bit and kind of I just started doing it, so it's been a little tough, a little time consuming. So make sure you check that out. That's where you're going to find this stuff. The show also on our YouTube page, so make sure you check that out. You can follow me on Twitter at I am Chris Asbrock as well. Get the show Twitter. I'm trying to think what else, man. You got anything else off the top of your head?
My DraftKings lineup sucks.
I gave up yesterday. I got so mad. I about chucked mine. I was so mad. I'm down to like 30 cents now. I'm done.
I was sitting pretty coming in tonight. I thought for sure San Diego might light this Bears defense on fire. And Melvin Gordon's had a decent night. I went Melvin Gordon over Danny Woodhead. That looks to be a mistake. Malcolm Ford getting hurt does not help my cause. And so much for Antonio Gates being Philip Rivers' go-to guy.
You're hurting a little bit, man.
Jeez, oh Pete's.
Hey, you're hurting a little bit. I do feel for you, though. I'm not going to lie. I feel bad for you.
It's embarrassing.
It's all right. It happens. It could be much worse.
I did do okay in the PGA side this week. Had a little profit in PGA golf.
Hey, there you go.
If Kevin Kisner wouldn't have crapped down his leg on the weekend, I could have had a better turnout. Dustin, I don't know, you probably didn't watch any of it, but
no.
I tell you what, Dustin Johnson, the guy gets in contention more than anybody I've ever seen, and he has the worst luck.
I know. I do feel bad for him.
The guy's one shot off the lead going to 2 under on his round. 8th hole, par 5. He's playing with the other Kevin Kisner and Russell Knox. For those diehard golf fans know who they are. For those that don't, they don't.
Well done.
Knox and Kisner they don't hit the ball very far. I mean, these guys are putting it out there about 285. And Dustin Johnson, every stinking hole is blowing at 6 yards by him. And he's sitting there with a short wedge in his hand on a par 5/8, one shot off the lead, two under on his round, throws a dart, hits the flag stick.
Jeez.
kicks off the green into the water. Guy did a double bogey. He goes from knocking it stiff to get the 300 and a share for the lead. The double bogeying and his round blows up, and the guy shoots 1 under for the day and 5 shots off the lead. It's just awesome. It was a tough pill to swallow. But
that poor guy, I do feel bad for him, man. That's tough.
He has the worst. He has the worst luck in golf. But I do. And I've told you this. You need to get on the PGA on DraftKings. It's a lot of fun. It's 4 days. It's a long sweat. A lot of action, but you get more for your buck.
All right, there you go. That's what it's all about, man. I'll have to look into it. I gotta deposit some more cash. So I'm down I think it's 80 cents is what I just looked at my account.
Huh?
I gotta pick it up with a couple 25-cent games here.
Yeah. Good luck.
That's I've been that's a little flag there. No flag. No kidding. Well, with that being said, hey, you have yourself a good one, my friend, and again, make sure you guys check us out on Twitter. Make sure you follow us. That's where we're going to keep all the show updates, some different topics. Like I said, that's where you're going to interact with us. So thank you guys very much for tuning in again to the second episode of the Hicksy and Chris on Sports Show. So until next time, thank you guys, and Hicksy, you have yourself a good night, my friend.
You too, buddy. See ya.
All right, see ya.